What is the single biggest dick move in all of history? So the story goes that there years this people in southern Iraq who years agriculture, economy and way of living were built around them living within the swamps. They were not very fond of Saddam Hussein and his regime and did a protest march towards Baghdad. So meanwhile they moved towards the capital. Saddam took some excavators and drained the whole swamp. Problem solved. The original white elephant gifting from the King of Siam. This person would give this royal gift to people he found irritating and be entertained by the recipient's failing efforts to upkeep such an animal. Why don't they just give it away, you ask? Back in the day, receiving a gift and giving it away was perceived as an insult. Go figure. And giving away a gift from a neighboring kingdom is, well, that much bigger of an insult. So no dice. Economies apparently have failed in order to upkeep a royal gift like this. Honestly, dick move, King of Siam. Edit. I'm seeing some comments about giving away the elephant, killing it, or letting it die, so I'm going to clarify something. If you are given a gift, out of respect you take care of that gift, because failing to do so would be taken as an insult from the gifting party. The King of Siam knew this, and, for his pleasure, gave his opposing neighbors this annoyance of an animal an ultimatum. Either fulfill the upkeep of this economy sucking, worthless elephant, or I come invade your kingdom and slaughter you and your people. Being as powerful as he seemed to be, he probably sent delegations to these provinces to ensure the elephant was still around for years to come. LPT, keep that elephant alive. Thomas Midgley invented Freon and putting lead into gasoline. He knew that putting lead into gasoline was a dick move, and he did it anyway for money. He knew because he got lead poisoning himself and still lied about its effects on people. Environmental historians have said that he has had the single largest impact on the Earth's atmosphere of any single organism in the history of the planet. Not to mention that lead levels directly correspond to lower cognitive abilities in the general population, and you can look up the dates to know who would have been affected. I always thought the Fed putting Andrew Jackson on the $20 felt like a big fuck you, since he hated the idea of a centralized bank. Putting your fishing boats to the coast of other countries because you already fished everything in your country's surrounding sea. When the Mexican government rounded up thousands of Yaqui natives, made them walk over 300 kilometers to the coast, put them on boats, and sold them as slaves for about 25 cents. Most ended up on plantations in Veracruz where they were worked to death. Slavery was already illegal in Mexico at the time. Before 1965, Indonesian government sent academicians, especially STEM graduates, to study in Eastern Europe. After the supposed communist uprising in 30th September 1965, the government revoked their citizenship and declared them stateless. They risked persecution and possible torture and murder if they insist on returning. These nuclear physicist, master engineer, and PhD graduates take menial jobs, becoming janitors and wait tables, to carry on living with virtually no possibility of return to their country. P.S. I'm adding some reading to anyone who are interested. Edit, grammar plus reading material. That lady who stole the unborn baby out the other lady. Brutus pretending to be Caesar's best friend and then literally stabbing him in the back. Around the formation of the Persian Empire. Herodotus tells the story how King Astyages, the last king of Media, had a dream that his daughter would give birth to a king who would overthrow him. So he orders his general Harpagus to kill the child at birth. Harpagus doesn't want to kill the baby / spill royal blood, so he gives the child, Cyrus, to a shepherd to raise. 10 years later, Cyrus is discovered alive. King Astyages fakes being happy that the kid is alive, suggesting he always regretted issuing that order. To celebrate, he plans a feast and tells Harpagus to send his son over to play with Cyrus. During the banquet, King Astyages has the son of Harpagus killed, cooked, and fed to Harpagus. When the act was revealed, it is said that Harpagus did not react other than to gather the pieces of his son and remove them for burial. Harpagus bides his time. Much later, Cyrus is gathering forces against King Astyages. Astyages orders Harpagus, as his primary general, to lead the army against Cyrus. After a 3-day battle, Harpagus took his revenge for the death of his son by turning on the battlefield in favor of Cyrus, resulting in Astyages' defeat and the formation of the Persian Empire. Compulsory edit. My first award, thanks kind stranger. France asking Haiti for a compensation after Haiti overthrew the colonial administration. It took 143 years for Haiti to pay off that debt. Well, not really relevant, but when 50 Cent bought the first 4 rows of a Ja Rule concert, and Ja had to perform in front of 4 empty rows. Lol. Those motherfuckers evolving to suck mammal blood, and now we got to worry about mosquitoes, leeches, ticks, etc. Russia telling Ukraine to give up their nukes for peaceful independence, only for Russia to take back Crimea a couple decades later. Ray Kroc stealing McDonald's out from under the brothers and not even paying them royalties. Opium wars were pretty dickish. You don't wanna buy hard drugs from us and turn your population into useless addicts? Fine, we'll invade you and bombard your cities until you start buying. That woman scorned who killed fucking everybody. Hang about, I'll Google it. Saint Olga of Kiev. After her husband, the prince, was tortured and murdered by dissidents, Drevlian, she got vengeance by buried alive the first messengers. Burned/boiled alive the second set of messengers. Had a funeral feast for her late husband which included Drevlians, and then had 5,000 of them killed. After a year-long siege, Olga said, give me 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows from each house. The Drevlians rejoiced at the prospect of the siege ending for so small a price and did as she asked. Olga then instructed her army to attach a piece of sulfur bound with small pieces of cloth to each bird. At nightfall, Olga told her soldiers to set the pieces aflame and release the birds. They returned to their nests within the city, which subsequently set the city ablaze. There was not a house that was not consumed, and it was impossible to extinguish the flames because all the houses caught fire at once. As the people fled the burning city, Olga ordered her soldiers to catch them, killing some of them and giving the others as slaves to her followers. She left the remnant to pay tribute. It's a fine line between total dick move and badass on this one. Edit. Wow, this blew up. Went to sleep and 22k upvotes later. I read through every direct reply and about 50% said dick move and 50% said badass. A whole slab want the Netflix show / Game of Thrones spin-off. Many pointed out it's possibly not true. And finally, this tattoo, that /u/parasithium is on topic and totally sweet. Your pet leaving your room after you carried them in. The burning of the Library of Alexandria. Probably when they relocated Rasputin's schlang from his body to that jar. Russian army pushing Hitler back across Europe. Get to the outskirts of Warsaw and broadcast in Polish to have all the men in the city join the fight. Q large uprising. Russia holds back until all the men in the city are killed, so there's nobody left to resist when they occupy, and then resume pushing Hitler back across Europe. Edit sources requested. The Munich conference, like oh my god what a shit show, and a dick move on both sides. Basically in 1938, Germany wanted to get a piece of land from Czechoslovakia, lands which were populated with ethnic Germans. So to appease Hitler and Germany and avoid another war, the Western powers, France and Britain agreed for a conference. Now you think Czechoslovakia would be involved in the conference, but nah, the Western powers and Germany/Italy were the only parties discussing it and agreed to Hitler's terms that Germany would get the lands they asked for. Not only this was a huge dick move, but Neville Chamberlain had the audacity to state that the signing of the agreement, that conference would be peace for our time. Oh, and the best part, 6 months later after the agreement was signed, Hitler occupies the rest of Czechoslovakia and isn't liberated until the end of the war following a coup d'etat which would turn them into a communist country in 1948. People normally talk how Poland is basically the punching bag, but at least you can say the Poles went down fighting. The Czechoslovaks, however, were completely blindsided and fucked right from the start by Hitler's ambitions and betrayal of the Western powers, making the woman who had her labia melted together due to McDonald's not wanting give people refills look like a thieving bitch because she was in the right and only wanted her medical bills paid. Edit. Thank you for the award, kind stranger. The Japanese believed it would have been dishonorable to surprise attack an unexpected enemy, so they sent a declaration of war to the US 30 minutes before the Pearl Harbor attack. However, the upper military brass delayed that message until 20 minutes after the attack had begun. Dick moved to both sides of the conflict there. Edit. I meant the Japanese upper brass delayed the message, not the US one. The US was caught completely off guard as they were expecting sabotage, not a full-scale offensive. Trojan horse. When a British officer was talking to Robert Surcouf, he said, "We British fight for honor, you French fight only for gain." To which Surcouf replied saying, "You are quite right, each fights for that which he does not possess." Edit. It was Surcouf who originally roasted an English captain with this one. It wasn't Napoleon who originally said it, merely paraphrased. Edit 2. Removed Napoleon and Russian. The repatriation of Eastern European pilots who fought for the RAF during the Battle of Britain. Straight into Stalin's tender grasp.